Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Today in the rLounge, you know a family situation is bad when 3 simultaneous pregnancies somehow isn't even the most embarrassing part anymore. Am I the a-hole for outright refusing to go to my father's wedding? I, 21 female, have always had a rocky relationship with my father, 50 male. For some context, my parents got divorced when I was a younger teenager. I don't want to get into the details, but there was abuse and infidelity on my dad's part, which is why my mom decided to leave. The divorce was really ugly, but mom won the custody battle, and ever since, me and my younger sister, now 18 female, have been living with her. Since we were living with my mom full time, he was supposed to pay child support. However, the state I live in also requires the parent to cover 1/3 of secondary education costs if the child decides to go to college. The idea is basically each parent and the child covers 1/3 of the total cost each. I happened to get into the top university of my choice, and not only that, I had gotten scholarships which covered the full cost of my tuition. The only cost we had remaining were room and board, so it was determined, since I had more than covered my 1/3 of the cost, that my parents would be responsible for splitting half of the remaining costs. This obviously caused some problems with my dad. The first year of college, I constantly had to remind him to pay. He was always paying late, and sometimes not paying the full amount. So I had to cover it out of my own pocket whenever I fell short. My second year, he suddenly stopped paying, which caused me to take out a student loan. I'm currently in the middle of my 4th and last year of university, and I haven't even seen a penny since he stopped. That incident, plus what happened during the divorce, has made our relationship rough. My sister still had a relationship with him, so I try to keep things civil. I'm also really non-confrontational, so I have a hard time expressing myself to my dad. He will often text and tries to make an effort to hang out. However, it's been more than 6 months since I've seen him in person. Now my dad has recently told me he's getting married. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little shocked since my dad is basically a man whore. At some point I found out he was dating 3 different women all at the same time, but that's a whole other story. Over the summer, my dad decided to move in with a new girlfriend after only dating her for 2 weeks. Questionable, but that's none of my business. Anyway, the girlfriend, let's call her Nicole, seemed quite young. Really young. It turns out that Nicole is 26 years old. To put that into perspective, she's only 5 years older than me. I'm going to be honest, I'm really uncomfortable with her age gap. I know they are both consenting adults, but since we're so close in age, it rubs me the wrong way. Flash forward to September, and my dad lost his job, and then him and Nicole suddenly decided to go on this big trip to visit her family in Georgia, which was strange because that is a little expensive for someone who just lost their job. They were gone for over a month. Questions started being raised on why they stayed there so long. Turns out Nicole was married and had to go back to Georgia to get a divorce from her husband. I don't know all the details about her previous marriage, but I do know that she got married really young, and that my dad knew she was still married when they started dating. They got back from the trip, and my dad and her officially announced their engagement sometime in November. I don't really know how to feel about the whole thing. They have since then reached out several times asking me to come to the wedding. All throughout winter break, I've been thinking about it. They tried to invite me to a family game night, but I declined because they scheduled it on my mom's 50th birthday, which I think they did on purpose. They tried to ask me to come celebrate Christmas and got upset when I said I wanted to spend Christmas morning with my mom. I heard them both talking bad about me over the phone with my sister because I didn't do Christmas with them. I don't want to get into it, but they basically called me a witch over the phone. You get the idea. They basically say stuff to my face about wanting me to be there and sweet-talking me, but then I hear them saying stuff behind my back. I was already unsure if I wanted to go, but now I'm sure I don't want to go. When I told my sister I wasn't going, she threw a fit and told me I was being a bad daughter by not going, and that I was just being petty. I told her I disagreed and that I would not be attending a wedding with people who disrespect me. They're having the wedding in January, after less than 6 months of knowing each other. We suspect the urgency may be due to the fact that my dad doesn't have health insurance anymore and she does, but who am I to speculate? Anyways, the wedding is this upcoming weekend, and some of my family members are upset with me for not attending. I think I just need some perspective. Am I in the wrong here? Ask for advice, you know you're going to get it. First up, not the a-hole whatsoever. You don't owe him your time, your energy, or your love for that matter. Ultimately, he has failed you over and over again, and the audacity to invite you to a wedding after what him and his fiancée have said about you and how he has treated you. Your sister's relationship with him is separate from yours. You don't need to be civil or keep the peace. You don't even need to talk to him if you don't want to. I wouldn't go. especially after realizing that he has the money to marry his 26-year-old fiancée, but none for his child's education? Nah, that is crazy, and I would be pissed. I get that you're an adult, but he still had or has an obligation. You're still his child and always will be. Update. First, I wanted to thank everyone for the insightful comments. Sometimes when you're in this situation, it's hard to determine if you're making the right decision or not, especially if you have other voices in your ear. There have been some developments since January, and I've been meaning to update here, but I forgot until now. To start off, I did not end up going to my father's wedding. Instead, I stayed home and spent time having fun with my friends and my mom. My sister was really upset at me for pulling out at the last minute, even though I had made my intentions clear earlier. She posted pictures of the wedding on her Instagram story, which did have some passive-aggressive comments in it about spending time with her real family. I admit that stung a little, but I brushed it off. Well, something happened after the wedding. This is context I left out of my original post because it wasn't relevant, but it has now become relevant. After my dad stopped paying for school, I had a long, hard thought about which family members have actually been there for me. My mom had been raising me as a single mom, and even though she couldn't financially help out a lot in college, she's been here for me every step of the way. My grandparents on my mom's side are so unbelievably supportive, and I probably wouldn't have been able to make it through college without them keeping me sane. My mom went back to her maiden name during the divorce to match grandparents' last name, while my sister and I kept my dad's last name. After the financial falling out with my dad, I decided to take my mom's last name. I don't see why I would want his last name on my bachelor's degree, since it was my mom and grandparents that supported me throughout high school and college. I completed the paperwork a little before Thanksgiving and have now finalized my name change. Here's the thing. I was waiting to sit down and have an in-person conversation about my name change with my father. My sister also didn't know because I knew she would go behind my back and tell Dad before I got the chance to, and I wanted to at least explain myself before the crap storm happened. I was waiting for a good time to do it, but between finals, Christmas, and the wedding, it didn't seem like a good time. Apparently, a couple days after the wedding, my sister found out about my name change. She did exactly what I thought she would do, and she immediately went and told my dad, even though she was explicitly told not to. When I confronted her about the situation, she basically gaslighted me, saying it was my fault for lying and that she had a right to my personal information because we're family. I tried to explain that I was waiting to talk to Dad about it first, but she wasn't really willing to listen to me. We haven't really been talking a lot recently, but honestly, that's fine by me, because as of lately, she hasn't been the most supportive. Dad is pissed at me, which I knew was coming. My dad believes in traditional values. He thinks that he has the right to my last name because he is the head of the family. But according to traditional values, wouldn't I be changing my last name if I got married anyway? What's the difference if I wanted to change my name to the one I want to use professionally? Apparently, he was so upset that he didn't even bother to contact me on my birthday. His new wife is pissed at me for starting drama after her wedding and is now going around to that side of the family and is talking crap about me with my sister. My grandma on my dad's side is also upset at me. On my birthday, I received a letter she sent me basically saying that she was disowning me. She has not really been in my life since the divorce. We are not close, and she is actually such a boy mom and treated my mom so awful before and after the divorce. This is part of the reason why we don't talk. Even though the letter was rude, I low-key found it kind of funny. She wasted nice stationery and postage to send me such a nasty letter. She basically just wants to stir up drama. And that's exactly what the family wants. Drama. So I decided not to give them that satisfaction. I'm going no contact with my dad, his new wife, and my grandma. After everything that's happened, they have shown me that they don't value our relationship. I'm leaving the door open to my sister to contact me, but I'm not holding my breath. I think she needs to learn to respect that I just don't want a relationship with my dad. I'm glad that I'm cutting people out of my life that don't value me because, honestly, it gives me more time to focus on the people that do. I'm going to be graduating this spring, and I can't wait to celebrate my degree with my chosen last name on it. A quick comment from the community before moving on. Your sister is going to learn about Dad when she needs money for college, or anything for that matter. Good luck. There's something almost impressive about a man who can't remember to pay for his daughter's college, but somehow finds the energy to speedrun a marriage with a 26-year-old still waiting for her divorce paperwork to cool down. Priorities were clearly being managed by a roulette wheel, and Nicole being mad that you started drama after her wedding is rich considering this marriage began while she was literally still married to someone else. And your sister's real family comment also feels like one of those statements that ages terribly once reality catches up. Because eventually she's probably going to discover that Dad's love language is making promises right before disappearing financially and emotionally into the mist. Meanwhile, you quietly changing your last name before graduation is honestly the cleanest mic drop possible. Update 1 year later. So I, 23 female, posted a few times before about my dad and not going to his wedding. After what's happening over these past few months, I feel like I dodged a massive bullet. Fake names will be used in this post. For context, my parents got divorced when I was around 12. My mom, now 51 female, discovered my dad, now 51 male, was cheating on her with multiple women, and there was some other bad stuff that happened, so she left him. Well, since the divorce, he's only had 3 serious long-term relationships, all of which my dad has cheated on. The first woman was Frankie, 30 female, who was one of the original women my dad was having an affair with. How did my dad meet this woman, you may ask? They worked together. She was married and pregnant when they met. Frankie had a 5-year-old son at home and gave birth to 2 kids while my dad and her were continuing their affair. Her husband thought Frankie was just helping my dad out after the divorce, since Frankie was financially supporting my dad. Well, eventually, her husband started to catch on since towards the end of the marriage, she got pregnant with baby number 4 and he knew the kid wasn't his. Her husband divorced her and asked for a paternity test, and turns out that half of the kids are not his. My dad is the father of 2 of the kids, baby number 2 and the baby Frankie was currently pregnant with. After her divorce, my dad decided not to stick around, and they broke up before the baby was born. At the same time, father was also seeing Sharon, 40 female. They also worked together. Apparently my dad was going around playing the victim at work, doing the whole, woe is me, my horrible wife left me and took the kids, and she fell for it. My dad had been living with his mother up until that point, so she let him temporarily move in with her. During that time, he started telling her how she was the one, and he feels like they are going to get married. After a few months, he also got her pregnant. Then she found out that my dad was dating Frankie and that she was pregnant too, so she decided to dump him. During their breakup, she demanded that my dad pay for her abortion. 2 weeks before that breakup, my dad started seeing Nicole, 26 female at the time. She's only 5 years older than me. They also worked together. I guess their relationship was so intense that my dad decided to move in with her only after 2 weeks of knowing her, probably because Sharon kicked him out. She ended up getting pregnant as well, and apparently she knew about the 2 weeks overlap with her and Sharon. During her pregnancy, she started to have complications and she ended up having a miscarriage. To sum it up, my dad had 3 different women pregnant at the same time. I'm honestly surprised that HR didn't blow up. Frankie and Sharon knew about each other, and I think that Nicole only knew about Sharon. These pregnancies only resulted in 1 child, which Frankie is raising alone. All of them no longer work together. My dad lost his job for unrelated reasons and the rest of the women quit. Now Nicole and my dad got married after 6 months of knowing each other. As per my last post, I decided not to attend the wedding, and I eventually ended up going no contact with them. My sister, 20 female, went to their wedding and still has had a relationship with them. My sister is my dad's favorite, and she's used to getting gifts or going on shopping sprees with my dad. Well, one day while they were out, my dad kept getting messages and a phone call from a woman he kept hiding his phone from my sister. She thought it was strange, but while they were leaving the store, my dad got another message and said he had to leave to take care of something. So he left my sister outside the store with no way to get home. Later that night, my sister got a phone call from Nicole chewing her out saying, "How dare you demand your dad take you to dinner when you knew we had a date planned?" My sister was super confused because my dad had left hours ago and she did not go to dinner with him. She thinks my dad might be cheating on Nicole, but she doesn't have proof. Months went by and my dad stopped spending money on my sister quite as much. My dad had been unemployed for more than 2 years and has not gotten a new job since then. His wife is the sole provider. My dad is super bad with money, and honestly, his wife seems to spend way above her means. My sister says one of the bedrooms in their house is dedicated solely to her designer clothes. Some of her purses are over thousands of dollars. Honestly, I don't care what people spend their money on, but my sister says they keep getting into explosive shouting matches when she's there, over money. Over the past few months, my sister has slowly stopped seeing my dad very much. The shopping trips stopped, which my sister was fine with, so she suggested they do things together that don't cost money, like go to the park. My sister also offered to pay for them to go to eat or to get coffee. Nicole keeps saying that they're busy and that they would need to reschedule. But it's been several months and my sister hasn't seen my dad in person. She's been calling him, and every time they get on a call, Nicole is listening and interrupts their conversations. Nicole also personally attacks my sister and my mom every chance she gets, saying things like, "My sister wasn't raised right," and "I can see where she gets her witchy attitude from." Finally, this all came to a head when Nicole let my sister know that she thinks that she needs a break from my sister's toxic behavior. Nicole also told her that she would be taking my sister off her health insurance. Nicole has really good health insurance coverage and can have up to 7 people on her plan and have it only cost $50 a month. She only has 3 people on it, so basically it costs nothing to have my sister on the plan. My dad is legally responsible for my sister's health insurance, but they don't care and plan to kick her off it by the end of the month. While this is going on, my sister was at home scrolling through TikTok. Then she comes across Nicole's page. My sister is curious, so she obviously takes a look at some of the stuff she's posted. Nicole is apparently wanting to become an influencer. She makes videos about her clothes and a bunch of other things. That's all fine, but my sister watches a few of her more recent videos and realizes it's all about parenting. Nicole is actively making videos and posting content about being a parent to a teenager, my sister. There's also videos with her insulting my mom and talking about how to deal with hostile co-parenting. There are several things wrong with this. 1, Nicole has only been married to my dad for a year. 2, she did not help raise my sister and has never acted like a mom. 3, my sister is an adult and has been since before they got married. 4, my mom has had sole custody of us the whole time. There is no co-parenting. I understand that step-parents can have a role in their stepkids' lives, but being a stepmom to a 5-year-old is much different than being a stepmom to a 20-year-old. She has never acted like a parent towards me or my sister. She acts like I don't exist and treats my sister poorly, and then has the audacity to try to profit off of her stepdaughter and my mom for content? Now, after everything has happened, I think my sister is finally starting to realize why I chose not to have a relationship with them. She actually told me, "I wish I cut them off too." My sister has been getting on my nerves recently because she keeps saying how she never saw this coming and she can't believe that Dad would do this to her. I reminded her that Dad's always been an a-hole. You do remember that he had 3 women pregnant at the same time. But she keeps glossing over my comments, talking about how awful it is for her. My sister is not perfect, and we've had a lot of strain on our relationship caused by my sister's relationship with my dad. I feel angry on her behalf, but I also feel like I've warned her about my dad's behavior and she refused to believe me. She also has tried to push or guilt me into talking to my dad in the past, even though she knew that Dad fully screwed me out of college money that he was legally obligated to pay. Not to mention he tried to apply to loans and open credit cards listing me as a co-signer. I know she's really upset right now, but a part of me just wants to say, "I told you so." Not sure what to do at this point, so any advice is appreciated. This is also why people say not to ignore patterns. Your dad didn't suddenly become this person. He's been consistently auditioning for worst decision maker alive since your parents divorced. Also, leaving your daughter stranded outside a store because your secret phone notifications demanded immediate attention is insane behavior. The part that really says everything, though, is Nicole trying to isolate your sister while simultaneously monetizing her existence online. That's deeply weird behavior. Your sister isn't a daughter to her. She's a prop for content and leverage in her marriage. As for the "I told you so" feeling, honestly understandable. You spent years being treated like the bitter, unreasonable one, while everyone else acted like you were overreacting. Now reality finally kicked the door down wearing steel-toed boots. Would you reconnect with a parent after all this, or is there a point where protecting your peace matters more than keeping a relationship alive? Thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.